So if you recall, I had taken my stock TV boost valve bushing right here and machined it to accept this 475 TV boost valve I made, the big fella. And this land right here, this ridge, whatever you want to call it, that originally was 365 for the stock boost valve, I had to machine it away. And that port right there comes out the back side of the bushing. It's right there. See it? Instead of coming out right there, it comes out further back because you machined that ridge away and the hole's on an angle. So when I got this in my car, I noticed I had no TV increase when you pull the cable. And I took it apart, and what I found was when this new valve strokes all the way to the end of the bore this way, it covers that hole. So I need to modify that hole to come a little bit further forward, or I have to modify this valve to have a recess around the edge so the fluid can get by. So another instance of learning at my expense, which is fine. That's what YouTube is for. So let me poke around here and see what I can do to remedy the problem. So here's what I came up with. That hole, little feed hole, was just shy of 40 thousandths. So I took a 40 thousandths drill bit and I ran it in at a slightly greater angle so I could elongate the hole a little bit toward the snap ring groove. And then I took a small punch, this one, nothing special. It's actually a broken off punch with a jagged edge. And I just chiseled from the snap ring groove to that hole to give myself a groove for fluid to run in. And then I cleaned it up with a, what do you call it? A carbide. Fuck me, I gotta have to edit this out. I cleaned it up with a carbide reamer. I cleaned up the bore with a carbide reamer of the proper OD. And then I took the TV boost valve and I machined a groove in it with my 25,000 snap ring cutter. And then I cut some grooves with my Dremel from the edge of the valve into the groove. So now fluid can not only poke its head over the top of the valve, but even if it can't, it'll get into that hole, in that little well I made, gully, whatever you want to call it, and it'll flood this groove and come through these little ports, almost like gas ports in a race car piston. In theory, it'll work. So let me assemble this thing so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Now that the snap ring is back in, you can see there's my hole. There's my hole. There's my groove. And when you push the valve up, do this one-handed now, so you see it. Now you see it. Now you don't, but you still see the little groove I carved in. And even if that doesn't work, all these little slits should take the fluid that's coming through that orifice into that groove I carved. It should funnel into the front of the valve. The problem was the fluid wasn't getting to the front of the valve and pushing it this way. It was deadheading against the side of the valve. I'm pretty sure that's why I wasn't getting TV boost. Hopefully by the time you see this, if you ever see this, it's been back in my car and fixed. If it's not fixed, I probably won't even bother showing you this video. I'll be just cursing somewhere. So, hopefully this works. I'll let you know, but that's what I'm thinking. So, thanks for tuning in. Talk to you later. So, I had a stroke of brilliance this morning. I was thinking, it'd be nice to test this thing before it goes in my car and make sure it works, rather than just pray. And I realized if I put compressed air to that inlet hole, if this thing works, it should blow the valve up. You know what I mean? It pressurizes the chamber and pushes the valve up. So let's try that. Do this with both hands on my... Let's see if I can do it with one hand holding the valve, one hand holding the airline. Let the camera sit still. So this is the stock bushing and valve from extra valve body I had. So if I pressurize this thing vertical, so it's got to go up. And I pressurize it so the valve blows up. You're not only fighting pressure, you're fighting gravity. So let's see if this works. Ready? Look in the window here and see if you see the valve. Success. So that's a stock one. Now this is the one I made. And this thing is notably heavier. I mean, you can feel it when you pick the valve up. It's heavy. Just because it's so big, I guess. So here we go. Watch the window, watch the valve. It works. So I'm going to call that a win. But of course, we'll find out when it goes in the car. So I just thought that was a interesting way of testing it before I throw it in the car and, you know, say a prayer. So, all right, let's see what happens. I'm making a quick video of this so I don't forget later. This is the stock 365 TV boost valve and bushing from the original Sunbird transmission valve body. And this valve does not sit flush in the bushing. I have a light under it, flashlight, and you can see there's a gap. Even if you push it with a screwdriver or an awl, you can't close up that gap. When I machined my new one, the bigger boost valve had the same gap. I thought I must have messed it up. So I took a cutter, ran it all the way in and cut it flat. But I'm not gonna do it on this one. I'm gonna leave it alone. I'm gonna stick this in my transmission because I still don't have TV boost. So talking to a guy from Transgo, he said, leave it alone. That's the way it came. That's the way it is. That's the way it worked. Leave it alone. So that's what I'm going to do, but I just wanted to preserve this for posterity. It doesn't matter if you rotate it. Doesn't matter if you turn it upside down. It still has that gap. So let's see what happens.